Hey y'all. So yes, I'm going to share my testimony with y'all today. God is wonderful. He's a beautiful guy. He's a miraculous guy. Like I love him so much. He's been my father since I can remember. I never had a earthly father. But God always been there for me, and I don't need no other man to replace my father because he is my father. Okay, so I'm definitely all good with him. Alright, y'all, so I'm going to share two testimonies with y'all. Actually, I'm going to make it three. Okay, so my first testimony I want to share, my daughter was about 3 months old. Not even that, maybe I think she was 2.5 months old. And I can't remember when to take her to their house for Christmas, and I didn't want her to go. But I was like convinced to let her go because they wanted to spend time with her, they wanted to get to know her. But she was a newborn baby, and I really wasn't feeling it. But I allowed them to convince me into letting her go for Christmas, and it happened to be Christmas Eve this day. And I'm like, it's my baby's first Christmas, and she should be home with her mom. But for some reason, I allowed her to go. So now, they live in Darby. Okay, I've never been to their house before. So, allow her to go. But as the day went on, it was still early. As the day started to go on, I was like, it wasn't sitting right with me. I'm like, I want my daughter back. It wasn't right for me to not have her with me. So, I called them up and let them know I was on my way. Mind you, I've never been to this house before. So, my first testimony I'm sharing with y'all. Listen up. When I say God is good, God is so good. So I get on the train, and I'm headed to Delaware. I get off the train, and I just think, like, which way am I going to go? And I just heard a voice in my head of a baby crying, which sounds like my daughter. So if I was the voice that I heard as she was crying, I'm like, okay, I'm coming to get my baby. And took a couple turns. I went straight to this house that I've never been to before, y'all. Like, I've never been there before. I'm telling y'all, once this house. Knocked on the door. Lady answered, which was her relative. She allowed me to come in, and my daughter was crying. I'm like, oh, what's wrong with baby? Like, why is she crying? And I think she was feeling like how I was feeling. Like, I was missing her already. I know she was missing me too. So I just console her and calm her down, comfort her, and, let her know mommy's here, it gets you, everything's okay, you know. But like I said, I didn't know where I was going. God led me right to that house, led me right to my daughter, and by hearing her voice crying in my head, it was just so wonderful, like, really. Okay, so my second testimony. So I always wanted to meet my biological father, and I never got a chance to meet him. But like I said, I got God. God's my father, and trust me, I'm great with it alone. But I'm gonna speak on this anyway, because this is my testimony, and there's special things that happen in my life that actually I would never forget about. So I'm gonna share it with y'all. Okay. So the second one, like I said, I always wanted to meet my father. He was deceased when I was a little girl. My mom had me young, and the guy that's supposed to be my father had a family already, and he didn't want no parts of me. I wasn't supposed to be born in his eyes. And because of my complexion, he told his family that I was in his daughter because I was too brown. He was about like a shade darker than my complexion. And my mom is Hispanic, and his mom is black. But long story short, I used to really want to know stories about him. I just knew that he was deceased and he was killed when I was when I was a baby actually. And um, as I got older, I think I was like 19. Um, I started looking on like Yellow Pages just to find someone with his last name, just to get to know someone and meet somebody. So I get the information about him, but it was like I wanted a closure that was in her heart. It's like an open wound. So I went on my way to even call some Yellow Pages. Yes, I did that, y'all. I did it. And no luck. I even went to a funeral home, and I apologized out of respect. Still no luck. So now I'm just like, I asked around, nobody knew him. So I kind of gave up. But you know what I'm saying? And I say God is good. Good. So I was at my job, and these two guests come in. I see them, I take their order, and I proceed to grab their drinks. And I hear them over talking like, this girl looks so familiar. Like, who is she? Like, why does she look so familiar? And it's the guy talking to the woman. The lady was a cop. She ended up being like a good friend of mine after this accident. So I just stopped and asked, like, did y'all want to ask me a question? So, the guy said, yeah, actually I do. He said, well, who's your mother? I said, my mom is, Lydia. He said, oh, no, I don't know. He's like, well, who's your father? I said, Ray Michael Guy. He said, like, his eyes just got so big. His mouth dropped. And he was like, that's your father? And I was like, yes. He was like, I know your father. I said, what? I'm like, God is so good, yo. I'm like, when I gave up, it just came to me. Like, it came right to me while I was at work, not expecting it, not on my mind, or nothing. Like, and he looked at me like, if y'all seen his face, like, his eyes blew up. He said, you look just like your father. You look like your sister, and you look like your brother. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, I was looking for so long to try to, find out who they were. And at least get a picture of my dad, because I never seen a picture of him before, ever. And he was like, well, I'm going to go get her so y'all can meet and get to know each other and everything. I'm like, oh my goodness, like, my heart kind of like beeping like really fast. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not ready. But actually, I was really ready. So, that was a beautiful testimony, because when I gave up, I was looking for my father. This guy and this woman came to my job, and it came right to me. I didn't have to look no more. I met her. We got to know each other a little bit. I seen a picture of my dad for the first time in my life. It was wonderful. Wonderful. So the third testimony I'm going to share with y'all. Please don't give up on me. Just watch the video. I'm sure I should cut it as short as possible. So I don't want you to, just listen up. Because I'm sharing my testimony. I'm just sharing it with y'all, I feel like it's right to share it. So the third one is, I was looking for this house, right? I got my first place. My first place was just like convenient for the time. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was convenient. It worked for us. So now I'm looking for my second house. And so it wasn't my first house, it was my second home. So I'm riding around with my daughter in the car, and we riding around looking for a place. So I come past this one particular house after we did like a nice 20-minute ride around. This one particular house, I thought it was beautiful. It had the for rent sign on there, but it was no number at all. Okay, and I'm like, damn, this house is really nice. You're supposed to get this house. It would be nice. Like I like the size, I like the area, I like the yard. It's just beautiful. And I was telling my daughter about it, and she was like, she agreed. Like, damn, this looks nice. So, went home the next day, got up ready for work. Got to work, and I continued to look for a place in the newspaper. So when I opened up the paper, I just go straight to this particular person. I don't know him, but it was a house, that was for rent. It was my budget, so I gave him a call. His name was Jim. So I gave him a call, and God is so good, man. Like, I just love him. Don't you love him? I just love him. So yeah, I called the guy up, and uh, he asked me my availability. I told him when I was available to the house. He had me come see. I think it was later on that day, actually. Um, but the house that I went to go see, it wasn't what I was interested in. It was like, it looked like it was the same, I'm not going to say the whole house that I was currently staying at. And like I said, that was just convenient at that time. But it wasn't what I really wanted. So I just told him I was honest. So I was like, I apologize for wasting your time, but I'm going to pass. If you have anything else that you would like to show me, I would love to see it. I'm interested in it. I'm trying to move like as soon as possible. And he said, okay, that's fine. I'll keep in touch. And I said, okay. Like, thank you. And we went our separate ways. The next day, y'all. This is how God works. The next day, the landlord calls me up. This guy, his name is Jim. He gives me a call. Called me back. He was like, Emma, I got this house that I think you're going to want it. He said, you might as well just stamp it now because you're going to want it. And he was 1,000% sure that I was going to want this house. Right? Oh my goodness. Amazing. So, I go to the property, gave it the address, and I'm going down the road, the same road where this house was at that I was looking at prior to the time. So I get there, and he's out front of the house, and it was the exact house that I was looking at, or that I was with my daughter a couple of days prior to the time. I think it was like 2 or 3 days. And it was that house. And I got my keys, and God said, this is your home. And that was my third testimony. And it was so beautiful. I love that house so much. I'm at my new house now. This is another testimony. So I can share that with y'all later now. But God is so good, y'all. And always keep your faith. Keep your faith and believe in the Lord. Keep your heart open. Anything and everything is possible. All the praise I give to our Heavenly Father. But thank y'all for watching. If you want to share a comment, please do, and I will get right back to you. And y'all have a good day.